Matt, have you introduced yourself?
Oh, I'm Matt Walters. I'm with work with Bernaire and the Bucks County Planning Commission. My part of this project was the hazard mitigation chapter, so we'll talk about that.
Yes. Okay, so first order of business, the meeting minutes from November. Does anybody have any additions or any edits to them?
No, they look good for me.
Okay.
Were you gonna reach out to the cemetery, or was that I don't know if that was here or not?
I haven't reached out to the cemetery now, but I
There
did,
were some questions, I think, in November.
right, there was
Yeah.
about Benjamin Franklin's.
Oh, you were
grave.
getting some history, yeah.
Right, the
No, it's
historic.
Yeah.
a nephew of Benjamin Franklin or something like that,
Right.
Yeah, to confirm if
Yeah,
that
okay.
was actually, but
Yeah.
I think the discussion was we couldn't figure out who to contact in the
We
cemetery.
have a contact.
Dave
Oh,
had.
you do?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Dave is the guy.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Steve O has been
Hal.
involved with him, because there were some trash issues and stuff down there. But he's the expert on that.
Hello. How
He's
are
the
you?
one that does all the maintenance and stuff.
Okay.
I
He
wanted to
also
wait
works
for you, but
at
Bryn
the
said we had to
Catholic
do it right
school,
now,
too.
so I just wanted you to know that.
So wait, his last name is Howe, H-O-W?
Yeah, he's a, yeah,
HOW.
maintenance guy over at Holy Trinity during the day,
Okay.
the Holy Trinity School.
Yeah. And he does all the cemetery stuff.
Okay.
He's apparently a pretty knowledgeable guy too, because Steve was talking to him about a lot of different things.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll have to reach out to him and definitely get some more information for the historical and cultural chapter. Mike, we were just going over the minutes.
That's fine.
Okay.
And Steve O is here he's only here in the mornings, he's in New Hope in the afternoons. I'll get his number for you tomorrow morning.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions or additions to the minutes, we can start going over the chapters. Okay, so we're on to Chapter 11, Water Resources.
Do you have an extra?
Yeah,
Great.
I do. Here you go.
Awesome, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, so we start out by kind of introducing the topic about how water resources and wastewater facilities are key in determining the location, nature, and density of development, and also how stormwater is crucial in ensuring the water quality and that flows are controlled. So we also get into detail a little bit how the lack of appropriate water and sewage facilities can be a significant threat to public health. So water resources in this chapter are broken down into three primary factors. It goes water supply, wastewater collection, treatment and disposal, and stormwater management. So we'll start off with water supply. So the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code states that comp plan should include a plan for a reliable supply of water, including a provision to protect water supply sources, and that this plan shall be consistent with the state water plan. And then we kind of dive into some information about the Morrisville Municipal Authority water filtration plan and how that's supplied by surface water from the non-tidal section of the Delaware River, which is managed by the Delaware River Basin Commission.
There's 3 tanks now.
3 tanks.
Yeah,
Okay.
the other tank had just been built, what, 2017, 2018?
Oh, yeah, I think we get into that
You get into
later
that?
on,
Okay,
yeah.
over here, you just said 2
Yeah.
tanks,
Oh, it did?
2 storage water
Yeah,
facilities.
Tuesday.
You know, that may have just been narrative from
Okay.
the last comp plan,
Yeah,
so
there's
that
3
didn't
there.
get updated.
Bryn, at the end of paragraph 1 in water supply, it says committee rather than commission.
Where's on that paragraph 1?
Under water supply, the first paragraph.
Oh, water supply. Oh, it does say committee, okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Commission.
Actually, they may have all 3 tanks, it just might be punctuation in that sentence. If there's 2 tanks off West Trenton Avenue north of the borough, and then,
And off of Riverview,
south of
right.
the borough,
Yeah.
Well, the Bridge Street, though. Bridge Street,
Right here, by Calton.
yeah, no. The water tank.
Oh,
You
down
have the
by-
water tank by the Manor Park. You have the
Yes.
water tank I don't know, it was up in Trenton Avenue somewhere, I never remember,
Right.
I don't remember where it is, and they put the newest one where South End Auto used.
Right,
in
yeah,
the
it's
back.
the big one down there,
They
yeah.
just put that one in there.
Yeah. Well, I thought there was one up on, by Greystone.
Yeah, off of West Trenton Avenue somewhere back in there it is.
Right, okay.
Okay. Okay, so moving on to the second page. This is also a narrative from the 2008 one, how the 2002 assessment found that the Delaware River is susceptible to contamination from sewage, residential, agricultural runoff, spills, accidents, storage tanks, industrial facilities. But despite this, the Morrisville Municipal Authority Water Filtration Plant published a 2018 water quality report, the most up-to-date one, that states that the water provides or meets, the water provided meets or exceeds established water quality standards. And then just some summary of recommended action for the water supply. Continue complying with state water plan registration requirements, continue to comply with federal and state Safe Drinking Water Acts and Bucks County Department of Health regulations. Continue to maintain interconnection with the Lower Makefield's water supply system. Continue planning on working relations with adjacent municipalities in regard to water supply issues, and continue to maintain the highest quality water treatment and distribution facilities possible. Moving on to wastewater collection, treatment, and disposal. So the plant services about 40,000 residents in a 10 square mile service that covers Morrisville, Yardley, Lower Makefield, and a portion of Falls Township. And the plant treats 8.7 million gallons per day and is funded by sewer rents collected. So in 2008, the comp plan, the facility, it mentioned that it processed an average flow of 7.1 million, so it's increased by 1.6 million gallons per day. And we noted that a new filter system was also completed in March of 2017.
What's the capacity?
I'm just gonna add, we have a capacity?
I didn't see anything on their website, it just said that
Okay.
what they produce, but I can double check with the capacity.
Just curious. I want to see where, in terms of 8.7 million, what does that represent in terms of percentage of use that we could crank out?
Right.
I
That would
kinda
be-
remember like 12, but that could be just a guess.
I
don't
wouldn't,
remember.
yeah, I just think it would be good to have that
Percentage
That
of-
information, that information.
Right, for future development and stuff.
Well,
Make sure there's
for
capacity.
whatever comes your way, I mean, you
Right,
know.
yeah, I can definitely contact them and
Yeah.
figure that out and put that in a RISE
Okay.
copy. Let me just make a note of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so wastewater facilities planning. The Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code requires that a plan for sewage facilities be included in the comp plan. And the Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act requires that each municipality have an official wastewater facilities plan. So moving on to the third page. The Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act was enacted to eliminate existing and prevent new environmental health problems through comp plan sewage facilities plannings. And down below in the bullet points, it kind of lists the purpose of a municipality's sewage plan, which is to protect health, prevent future problems, provide protection for ground and surface waters. And then the next few paragraphs, that's actually the same narrative from the 2008 comp plan. It kind of like follows a history of the sewage plant in Morrisville. So all of that was in the last comp plan. And then what we updated from that was that parts of the current plan are over 6 years old and that the infrastructure is aging and is outdated, and that the current facility is unable to expand in its current place, and the DEP requires upgrades, and the equipment can't really meet these future regulations. So there's been discussions to consider the relocation of the borough's wastewater treatment plant to the Keystone Industrial Port Complex. So that discussion has been in the works, and that's a brownfield site in an industrial area, and it's 3 miles downhill from the current facility. And then we just round out with some summary of recommended actions for wastewater. And then going into stormwater management, we just kind of describe how development increases watershed as more impervious surface is created, and then stormwater is unable to penetrate the ground. So that's, a lot of that narrative is like the same introduction as the last comp plan, just kind of basic introductory narrative. So as development increases in the watershed, due to problems dealing with greater quantities of stormwater runoff, and failure to properly manage this runoff can result in more flooding, greater stream channel erosion, and a reduction in groundwater recharge.
Did you want to add anything about the Melvin? Didn't we just do something at Melvin, the waste, the
The
basin?
basin, yeah.
They had to make it larger or?
They just got a grant to do whatever it is they're doing over there, to make it so it
Yeah.
actually functions.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's a stormwater up there in Melvin Court area.
okay. I haven't heard about that. So they got a grant to do what?
There's some maintenance to it, or?
Well, apparently it doesn't work, and it's
Make it
all
work.
clogged up and overgrown. They're gonna go in and do something with plantings and everything and redo it, so it'll actually be a functioning
Okay,
basin. Right now, the guys sink when they go into it to do anything there.
okay, I'll have
I
to look
thought
into
that
that
was
and
in
add
one
that.
of these things.
I don't know. That was probably maybe in the grants.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll have to go into more detail about that and,
Yeah, they should be able to take it down.
it's on the map back there, there's a little note about it too.
Okay.
in the-
yeah, no, I would definitely like to expand more on that. Okay, so, where was I? Page 5.
Page 5, going into flooding issues.
Yes, flooding issues. So areas of the borough that are most prone to flooding are Williamson Park and the adjacent neighborhoods. And flooding typically occurs along the Delaware Canal, but the levee protects the river from flooding. So the $29 million flood repair project paid for by FEMA was awarded following the devastation of the floods of 2004 through 2006. And then, well, he kind of described the recent funds that were received to pay for flood protection studies and the levee accreditation. So I spoke with Kurt Schroeder at Gilmore and Associates, and he was telling me that the levee study is currently at a bit of a standstill while they look for new consultants. So, it's in the draft phase currently, and the study will identify the parameters to be accredited, and then those recommendations must be implemented before FEMA can accredit the levee and remove it from the floodplain map. So right now, since they're in a standstill with like the draft, my guess is that they're unable to identify, like, the parameters that need to be identified are in a, like, the whole process is in a standstill. So I didn't really get a timeline from him of when that will be.
So, yeah, if something breaks between now and June, we can change it. If not, just leave it as, that it's in a draft phase study.
Yeah.
So the premise of getting the levee certified is to get it removed from the FEMA flood zone?
Yep,
Yeah, the rest-
it
And
goes
then-
away.
The whole area behind the levee is a 100-year
It's
floodplain.
all-
Understood, that I know.
So all that would be removed.
So if it's accredited, then that gets removed. How does that happen? I mean, it doesn't, just because the levee is certified, doesn't change the hydrology of the park. I don't get that, I don't get that connection even a little bit.
So, well, I mean, there's a couple different issues with that area. I mean, one is the canal flooding.
There's a
which-
lot of issues with that area,
Right,
but go
right,
ahead, yeah.
Right, so there's the levee on the one side and the canal on the other
Mm-hmm.
side. And so I guess the canal project, the spillway is supposed to
Mm-hmm.
relieve that canal flooding.
But there's
So-
also an underground stream that's tidal through the park, too.
Yeah. I,
I'm,
yeah.
it's there. I mean,
No, I understand, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you look at the old time maps, it was like basically
It
an
was an
island.
island. It was an
Yeah,
island.
It's a river.
It
Yeah.
was an
It's an
island.
island.
It's an
Yeah.
island, yeah. So, yeah, I believe that.
But that's the premise, I'm surprised
I
that
don't
that's
know if
the
it-
premise of the
Right,
certification.
I mean, you could still have like wet areas
Yeah.
and not be
It's more for the
necessarily flood
homeowners
prone.
not
Yeah,
being forced to
They
buy
want to
flood
have the
insurance.
Right.
insurance.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I'm just shocked that that's the case. I'm really surprised that
Well, I
that's
mean,
the premise
If they
of
could
it.
certify that it's not going to flood from the Delaware, then technically, it's not in that 100-year, that chance of
Right.
flooding becomes
Are
much
they going to
lower.
increase the height of the levee?
No.
No, there's the same height, they're just,
Okay.
because it's not a certified structure, they can't count it as protecting those areas.
Okay, because in 04, 05, 06, when that water came in, it came in underneath the levee. and that's what pushed the pool up. It
That was
didn't,
from the canal, wasn't it? Came down the canal from Yardley?
came in from underneath the levee and pushed it up.
Yeah, and I don't know where those engineering studies stand in terms of,
Okay. I'm
Yeah,
That's
just,
why they're in a standstill right now, I guess. I don't
it
know.
could be one of the reasons, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Who certifies the levy?
They're probably looking for someone to do it now, I think.
Well, you mean the Army Corps of Engineers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What is
the
the
core.
Well, they do the
Yeah.
inspections.
Right.
I think they're doing it every other year, and I forget who does it the other years.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. Wow, okay.
So yeah, that's the big news on the levee accreditation. Then after that, we have a section detailing green stormwater infrastructure and how natural vegetation can be used to retain and treat stormwater on site. So getting into the National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, NPDES, it's a federal program that seeks to establish local regulations resulting in a nationwide reduction of pollutants in waterways. So the Phase 2 regulations are aimed at smaller communities. Where was I just lost my place. We're aimed at, maybe I'm missing a page here.
Page 6, probably 7.
Okay, no, I am on the right
Okay.
page. Yeah, so they're aimed at smaller communities, and it requires municipalities to develop a stormwater management program that meets state permit requirements and includes 6 minimum control measures. So that's public education and outreach, public participation, illicit discharge detection and elimination, and construction on-site and post-construction runoff control and pollution prevention. So over an 8-year period, communities must establish a program to satisfy these requirements, and Morrisville Borough has submitted the annual reports in accordance with NPDES Phase 2 program. And the borough is engaged in public education and outreach, providing education materials to borough residents, and facilities and infrastructure will be inspected on an ongoing basis, and the borough will continue to comply with the program requirements. And then there's just the summary recommended actions for stormwater. So instead of having the big summary recommended actions at the end for all of it, I split it up into stormwater, wastewater collection, treatment, and disposal, and then water supply.
Does Marshall have any green stormwater infrastructures to date?
Not that I,
Maybe Melvin,
I think Melvin might be.
Maybe.
the
Melvin
first.
might.
Might
That's gonna be
Yeah.
all the new best management practices and
Yeah.
stuff.
yeah, I didn't really find anything
I know in front of
alarming.
the fireworks store.
Yeah.
That's all under the parking.
Mhm.
Yeah, when I look into Melbourne, I'll see what I can add, if I can put anything about green stormwater infrastructure about that. I'll make a note to do that. Okay, so big takeaways from this chapter is to figure out if there's a capacity with the wastewater treatment, and look into the Melvin grant and the functioning of that basin, and see if it would apply to the green stormwater infrastructure. Is there anything else that we should add or look into?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay.
Now, would Morrisville still own the sewer plant if it moved down to the Keystone Industrial Park?
I think so, because
Yeah.
we
Because
still own the
it's
waterworks.
It's an authority.
Yeah,
There's an
Yeah,
authority.
they have a whole different regs.
Plus, we have the license, I think Marshall,
Right.
the municipal
Yeah.
authority owns the
Right.
license to discharge so many thousands of gallons. So they just couldn't, another community couldn't take over that.
Right.
And from what I remember reading a while ago, when the mill had one down there, they were thinking about putting their own, but they can't get the DEP approval to run that,
Really?
because that shut down years ago, and they're not gonna give someone else another, 12 million gallon
Yeah.
capacity to discharge into the Delaware.
Right.
So we have a license for that, so,
Yeah.
just like our waterworks is up in, was it Yardley?
Yeah,
Yeah,
We still own it.
right. Okay.
Yeah,
So it would still be under our
Yeah.
realm then?
yeah, because an authority can own stuff all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
Unless they merged it, took in,
Mhm.
with some other groups and called it some, another, authority, merged it maybe with like Lower Bucks or whatever.
Right.
'Cause I know, Lower Makefield's having a rough time with their,
Terrible time, right?
they just raised rates again.
Yeah.
I think that's probably going to be a key recommendation of this plan, is to update the Act 537 plan. Look at those regional type solutions. So,
I think that's probably the best for the consumer.
yeah, that's for everybody.
They go, I know, Lower Make, their infrastructure really aged.
Oh,
And
yeah,
they're
plus you
just-
have 3 different watersheds.
They're looking
At
just to
least.
sell it outright, I think.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
They're all old.
We'll move on to solid waste management. So our recycling coordinator planner actually wrote this chapter, but they could not attend the meeting tonight, so I'll present it in their behalf. So solid waste is providing an economically and environmental sound means of storing, collecting, transporting, processing, and disposing of waste and recyclable materials. So the responsibilities of collecting recyclables, yard waste, adopting resolutions, ordinances, and standards to carry out solid waste management can be accomplished through municipal programs or through the regulation of private firms. So Act 101, the Municipal Waste Planning, Recycling, and Waste Reduction Act of 1988 requires counties to prepare and update a 10-year plan to guide the management of municipal solid waste. And the Bucks County Municipal Waste Management Plan was adopted by the Morrisville Borough Council in 2018. So this plan will be good to continue guidance throughout the county until 2028. So in Morrisville, residential collection and recycling is provided by Morrisville Borough to its residents through a municipal contract with a private hauler, and business owners contract directly with private haulers for solid waste collection. And hauler, and then we just kind of list what is able to be picked up for recycling. So haulers deliver the collected waste for disposal at a nearby landfill or waste-to-energy facility with the recyclable components that are delivered to recycling facilities in the region. And then we also note that the borough participates in the Southeast Pennsylvania Household Hazardous Waste Collection Program, as they have been for the last 25 years, and that allows residents to safely dispose of hazardous items that should not be disposed of in landfills.
We also have the leaf collection area down by the sewer plant. The residents can bring their leaves there and dump it.
Okay. Do you know what that's called?
I don't know.
Yes, it's
The leaf dump.
It's a
No, the leaf dump.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's, I don't know the official name of it,
That's where
yeah.
Public
Okay.
Works takes all the branches and stuff they
Yeah.
grind up and.
Is that where they take the
Yeah.
Christmas trees that they pick
Yeah.
up?
No, the,
Leaves.
Leaves.
yeah, the leaves, the Christmas trees are picked up by the, who's ever doing our recycling.
Okay.
But the last time I used the leaf dump, I had like flowers and twigs, I was told I couldn't dump it there.
Really?
Yeah, I
Just
said, wait a minute,
leaves?
flower, what's the difference between a flower and a leaf?
Yeah.
Doesn't
But
decompose.
They told me that sticks weren't allowed.
Yeah.
Flowers weren't allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah. I told them in the garbage then, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So wait, you have to bring your leaves down there?
You don't have to, you can put them out for the,
Is it like
yeah,
a composting program?
I think what, Vermont does the composting on, or
I-
not one of the
I'm not
local
sure.
landscapers?
It's at
But
the
you
end
can
of
go down there and
I
dump
forget
it.
which street, the end of the street, there's a gate, you go back.
Yeah, you go down
there.
Delaware Avenue.
Yeah.
Right down Delaware
Yeah.
Avenue, and it's like to the side of the sewer plant.
Okay. So, do the haulers also come and pick up leaves if you leave
Yes.
them out?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can, if you get your leaf bag from Home Depot or whatever, you can leave it out for your recycling day.
Okay.
But there's a time limit on that.
It's only for like a month-long collection or
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
Well,
us
that would
lazy
be
folks have
important to
take
add
it
in.
down.
Half my trees, I only have, the leaves don't fall white, it's still open,
Yeah. Okay, so would the leaf collection drop off by the
That's a good
sewer
name
plant
for
be
Yeah.
notable to add in this?
I would, the residents should know about it.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. So on page 2, there's a table. So the figures in this table show that over 569 tons of recyclable materials were diverted from the residential waste stream in 2018, and 638 tons of material were recycled from commercial uses. So going into future needs, Pennsylvania set a goal in 1997 to recycle 35% of municipal waste stream by 2003, and they reportedly reached this goal in 2002. So although this goal's been attained, one of the future needs just notes that there should be a continued effort on the part of each community and how that's important in order to continue the success and even possibly increase those rates. And then it kind of notes that there are issues with contamination in the recycling stream with non-recyclable material. That's a continued problem. Kind of like, I guess, you bringing your sticks and
That's
flowers
right,
to the
flowers.
leaf. You know.
Oh, right, you did.
That, I mean, that
No, I
happens
was
in
kicked
everyday
down.
recycling where people are unaware of what you can recycle and what you can't. So a
Yeah.
future need is to create efforts to educate residents and businesses on what can be recycled versus what to keep in trash bins. So
And
that's,
we also have like the hazardous waste that's advertised
right.
2-3
Yeah.
times a year, TVs and
Right.
paints and all that that are picked up either,
Right.
you know, the tech school, I think, has it one time, and
yeah.
There is a place over by Langmore now that takes
Mhm.
it year round.
Yeah,
TVs, electronics.
The recycling, like Vantage
Yes.
recycling,
they
yeah.
charge you, or
I'm sorry?
do they charge?
No, it's free
No,
to
it's
Bucks
free?
County residents, yeah.
Actually, a very nice place. You wouldn't think you'd drop a TV off there.
Really?
Yeah.
We just read about it in our newsletter.
Yeah.
yeah, it was just online someplace.
Yeah, it was, I forget where, my wife saw it, I don't know where it was.
Yeah, I guess that would be, we could add that in here, right? Or is
Just-
that just for 2020? I'm not sure
Here,
if
I
that
don't
free
know.
was.
electronics recycling,
Okay, yeah.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah, I wouldn't put
Okay,
something
yeah,
like that in
yeah.
there, 'cause